Throughout time, there have been men to whom justice has been more important than life itself. From these ranks come 4 men, prepared to fight valiantly on the side of justice wherever the need may be. Joined together in this cause, they are the 4 Just Men.
Johnny, rhythm. You have to keep a rhythm.
I got it! I think I got it! What'd you do that for? What'd you do that for? I had it beat. For the first time, I had it beat.
Ah, shut up.
I don't push me around.
All right. What's the matter, Joey?
An accident. It wasn't. I was just going to beat his record.
All right, look, fellas, you got any extra energy? Work it out on the bag over there, huh?
Oh, you tell that to them. I've still got the scar on my arm from last week.
Then you should know by now that a gang rumble settles nothing. Now, come on, don't start it up again, huh?
Well, my old man says that Garnes is right. He says here...
Give me that. I told you I don't want this filthy sheet around here.
Well, anyway, he says we got here first.
Who's we?
Us, the Americans, not these Puerto Ricans.
We are all Americans. Now, look, we were doing fine until Garnes started filling your head with this garbage. Now, come on, break it up, huh, fellas? Come on. Settle down, Frankie. Come on. Come on, boys. Come on. All right, Tony. Hey, come on, you fellas. Joey. Jacko, run upstairs to Mr. Rivera's candy store and tell him to get an ambulance. Tell him it's his son.
Mr. Rivera.
I'll phone for the ambulance. Seen the Rivera boy, Mr. Ryder?
Yeah, he's still unconscious. The blade of the knife nicked his heart. How'd it happen, Mac?
Garnes again. The boy who pulled the knife's in jail, but it ought to be Garnes they picked up. These editorials he writes, stirring up one group against the other. And he calls it civic concern. We got to stop it.
Well, I've checked the federal men. They can't touch him. He doesn't send the newspapers through the mail.
And what about the DA?
Well, inciting to riot is a tough case to prove.
Well, I guess that's it. I'm sorry to have wasted your time calling you in on this.
Oh, no, Mac, it's not wasted. We've got to do something to stop it before it gets worse.
You know how many boys showed up at the club today? 1. Everything was going great. We were breaking down some of the prejudices. Then Garnes started writing those hate pieces.
How tight can you tie him into the trouble last night?
Well, the boy who started it was quoting Mr. Garnes a minute before the fight broke.
Are you calling me a murderer, Mr. Ryder?
Joey dies, I'd say you helped.
How? Just how do you hold me responsible?
Your editorials.
Oh, come now, Mr. Ryder. I publish a few little weekly neighborhood shopping sheets. Throwaways, as they're so unkindly called in the trade.
The very fact that they are throwaways makes them the only news source for a lot of people in a poor district.
Have you really read my editorials carefully?
Until my stomach turned.
Well, then you ought to realize that I'm trying to stop the trouble. I've deplored the fact that these interracial mixtures in these neighborhoods could cause bad feeling or even gang warfare among the youth.
Look, Mr. Gons, I'm a lawyer. I'm familiar with the use of innuendo. You're not trying to stop the tension, you're creating it. Hoping to force the Puerto Ricans to move out.
That's a pretty difficult charge to prove in court.
I can prove you own a lot of real estate in the neighborhood.
Well, so do a lot of other people. Are we all criminals?
But the others are not distributing inflammatory papers like you are. You're playing with people's lives, Mr. Gons, to increase the value of your property. That's the crime.
You do-gooders make me sick. Always so generous with other people's property. Well, listen to me.
There's ugly feeling in the neighborhood, Mr. Gons. It could spill over and reach you. If you wouldn't think of others, at least think of yourself and your family.
Mrs. Gons,
Yes?
is your husband at home?
I'm afraid not. Could you tell me?
Please close the door, Mrs. Gons. I'll wait.
Do you have an appointment? Perhaps you could phone later.
I said close the door, Mrs. Gons. Sit down, Mrs. Gons.
If you have business with my husband, why don't you see him in his office tomorrow?
I'm afraid it's not that kind of business.
I don't care who you are or what you want. If you don't leave immediately, I'll phone the police.
I'd rather you didn't do that, Mrs. Gons. Let's just sit down and wait. This is a grenade, Mrs. Gons.
Gons' throwaway papers are being supported by people like you, Gus, by your ads.
I have to advertise.
Why in his paper?
I have to. Why does the Store Club advertise or Toot Shores or any other restaurant?
Do sunny side up.
Do sunny side up. Coffee?
No, thanks.
All right. Do you know anything about the New York laws on running a place that serves food?
A little.
Well, if I have to stand by all those regulations, I go out of business. Sloping drains, extra washrooms, another exit.
Has Gons threatened you?
The article's already written and set in type. The day I pull my ad, he prints it.
Mr. Ryder,
Mrs. Rivera, how's Joey?
no better. I am sorry to bother you. I called your office and they told me. I've been looking everywhere for you. Last night when it happened, Thomas, my husband, wanted to kill Mr. Gans. I hid his gun, but now...
Where is he?
I'm afraid. I think...
Have you notified the police?
I was so frightened when he did not come home. Please, Mr. Ryder, find him. Stop him. Don't let the police arrest him as a common criminal.
Oh, don't worry, Mrs. Rivera. Whatever your husband is trying to do, I'm sure they'll agree he's had a lot of provocation. I'll do what I can.
Thank you.
How is he?
Nothing yet.
Fred, be careful!
Ella, what's... Who are you? What do you mean by coming in here frightening my wife?
My name is Thomas Rivera.
You have my full sympathy, Mr. Rivera. I sincerely hope your boy recovers. What has all this got to do with me?
If my boy lives, perhaps nothing. But if he doesn't...
Look, let's put the responsibility where it belongs, Mr. Rivera. There is such a thing as a Puerto Rican problem, and, well, there's been ample indication of trouble coming. Now, if you really had your son's interest at heart, you'd have moved out of this neighborhood a long time ago. Now, only you PRs would...
There's the trouble, Mr. Gons. The way you say PRs. What are you, USAs?
You just don't know who your friends are, do you? Now, if you'd have taken my suggestion...
What are your suggestions? A ghetto where we can huddle together in fear while the landlords raise their rents because we have no place else to go? No thanks, Mr. Gons. That is not a dream that a man wishes to hand down to his son.
All right. You've said your piece. Now get out.
I'm not leaving here till I find out if my boy will live or not.
But you're going to leave even if I have to throw you out.
No, Fred. You don't understand.
Don't worry, Ellen. I understand his type better than he thinks. Now, come on.
Hold up here, police.
Come in, officer.
What's the trouble here? We got the report of a possible attempted homicide.
Oh, it's not that bad, officer, but this man was waiting for me when I got home. He frightened my wife and threatened me.
Is this true?
If he says so.
Maybe you better come down to the station for a little talk. You preferring charges?
Naturally.
Coming, fella?
No, my business with Mr. Garnes is private, officer. I'm afraid I must ask you to leave.
I thought I'd heard everything in the way of knife. Come on.
No, don't. You mustn't.
She's not herself, officer. This man is obviously fighting her badly.
All right, fella. Just take your hands out of your pockets good and easy. You set that down nice and slow. No nonsense, I mean it. One fast move and I'll shoot you down where you stand.
No, officer. I have already pulled the pin. And you know what will happen if I relax my grip on the grenade.
Hiya, Sergeant. Are you too late?
Maybe, maybe not.
Where's Rivera?
In there with Garnes, and Mrs. Garnes.
Why aren't you going in after him?
He's pulled the pin on a grenade. He's got it clutched in his hot little hand. If we drop him, he drops it. He's rigged himself a dead man's switch.
What are you doing about it?
Clearing the building in case of fire, that's about all we can do.
That's a nice problem. To save a man like Garnes.
We've sent for a psychologist. I hope he can help.
What are you doing in on this, Ryder?
Oh, Mrs. Rivera. She was afraid to be driven to do something like this. Have you talked to her since she called?
Can't find her. She's not at home. She hasn't been back to the hospital.
Anything new on the boy?
No, no change. Rivera called twice in the last couple of hours.
That's why Rivera's waiting. If his son dies, he kills Garnes.
Hey, Mac, call the hospital and give them instructions not to release anything but favorable reports about that boy's condition. Thanks, Ryder. It's just delaying the inevitable. We can't rush him, we can't shoot him, we can't tear gas him.
Mind if I go in and talk to him?
That's all I need. I'd be in twice the trouble if an innocent bystander gets it.
Lieutenant.
Yeah?
The door of the apartment isn't locked. Now, if you were to walk away from guarding it and leave it with me, I'd take the responsibility of letting Ryder in.
Thanks, Andy.
My neck's are way out on this, Jeff, so try not to get killed, eh?
I'll do my best.
What do you want? If you're from the police, I don't want you here.
I'm not from the police, Mr. Rivera. My name's Jeff Ryder.
Well, what do you think of your little friends now, Ryder? You still think I went too far with my editorials?
More than ever.
Stay away from me, Mr. Ryder. Maybe they didn't tell you.
This won't help your son.
It may help the sons of others.
It won't help them either. You'll only stir up more anger, more misunderstanding.
You've tried the legal way. I've heard about what you've been doing, Mr. Ryder, and I'm very grateful, but it didn't work, did it?
It will.
But not in time for Joey. Well, what are you going to do?
I'm calling Dr. Chaffee. He's the best heart surgeon in the city.
No deals, Mr. Ryder.
Dr. Chaffee, please. Jeff Ryder. No deals, Mr. Rivera. I asked Dr. Chaffee to take your son's case hours ago, before I knew you came to this apartment.
Dr. Chaffee, please. Dr. Chaffee is wanted on the telephone. Dr. Chaffee, please.
Chaffee here. Hello, Doctor.
Have you examined Joey yet?
He's going through preoperative preparation at the moment, Jeff. I shall be able to start in 2 hours.
How does it look?
Off the record, he has a better than even chance.
Doctor, it's important I know the outcome as soon as possible. When do you think I can expect a report?
Well, 2 hours on the table, 2 more for observation. Say 6 hours from now. Will that be soon enough?
6 hours. I'd say the son has a better chance than the father. I'll explain it later. I hope.
Thank you, Mr. Ryder.
Now, why don't you hand that grenade over to me? If you walk out of here of your own accord, they'll go much easier with you.
You still don't understand, Mr. Ryder. I don't care how hard or easy they go with me. If Joey dies, I'll go with Mr. Garnes anyway.
All this over one Puerto Rican kid. And it's for you. I don't think you've got the guts to go through with it. I'm walking out that door. If you think you can stop me, go right ahead.
Don't do it, Garnes.
You talk big. But let me tell you something. If I were afraid of people like you, I wouldn't be where I am. You know something else? I'm not afraid to die. And I think you are. Here, what are you doing? Stupid fool. I could have gotten away.
Have you ever seen one of those things go off? There's no case on record of a man outrunning a grenade. And you? Do you realize now what a crazy thing you're doing?
I'm not a madman, Mr. Ryder. I came here with a purpose. Nothing has changed.
You came here to kill Garnes if your son died. Well, he hasn't died. And yet just now you almost killed us all.
It won't happen again.
Well, it might happen again.
I'm willing to take that risk. And Mr. Garnes has just said that he's not afraid to die.
But I am, uselessly, this way.
Look, I didn't ask you to come here, Mr. Ryder, and I'm not stopping you from leaving.
And what about Mrs. Garnes? What's her crime?
I've nothing against Mrs. Garnes. I haven't been holding her.
You mean she's free to walk out of here right now?
Certainly. But you know something very funny, Mr. Ryder? He never even asked me.
Ellen, don't leave me.
Let her go, Garnes.
Well, you heard what he said. He wouldn't dare if you stayed. He's got nothing against you. He just wouldn't dare.
I think he would. And I can't take that chance, Fred. There are the children.
I'll get you some black coffee.
I'm sorry, Doctor, but I just don't want to talk anymore.
That's all right, Mr. Rivera.
Well, you're giving up?
I never thought for a moment that I could just talk him out of it.
Well, then why'd you come? To collect a fat fee?
The lieutenant wanted a professional opinion. You see, men like this, like window ledge jumpers, can be classed roughly into 2 categories. Those who really mean to go through with it, and those who are merely seeking attention.
And Rivera?
In my opinion, Thomas Rivera is not bluffing.
You all right?
My hand, I'm afraid it's getting a little stiff. I think perhaps...
I suppose it's all right if I leave now.
All right, Rivera. You've made your point. Now what's your price?
Stop it, Guns. That won't do it.
Look, you've been on his side all along, and that head shrinker was no better.
The doctor walked into danger for your sake.
Yeah, and walked right out again. Well, now we'll try this my way. All right. What do you want? I'll promise anything within reason.
I'm sure you will.
Look, whatever else you may think of me, I'm a man of my word. All right. You've got me on a spot. I won't prefer charges, and I'll do anything else you say.
You want to save your life, huh? Well, there is one thing you can do.
Name it.
You can pray for my son.
What's this? What are you planning?
This officer's from the bomb squad. He's volunteered to go in against Rivera.
Did you check the hospital?
They've just started to operate.
That means we still have another 4 hours to wait.
Too risky. We don't think Rivera can hold out that long.
What's he gonna do?
There's chain mail under that padding. He'll rush Rivera and try and grab the grenade.
And then what does he do with it?
We've cleared the street outside. If you tell him the location of the windows facing out, he may be able to grab it and throw it out without looking around.
No, that won't work.
Do you know what will?
Maybe. Rivera's a religious man. Why don't you send for his priest?
I'm not excusing this man Garnes, but in the eyes of God, your sin is greater than his.
He has taken my son from me.
And what are you doing? You're taking a husband from your wife and a father from your son. If this man has done what you say, his punishment is inevitable. But you, if you do this sinful thing in all eternity, will you know another moment's true peace?
No. No, I think not. But perhaps others will find peace.
No, they won't. It's just what men like Gons want. They'll use it to make it that much harder for decent people to be decent.
I'm doing what I must do. Now, Father, please go. And pray for me.
I will, my son. I will.
Don't leave, Father. It may be a long wait. The three of us are getting tired of each other.
No!
I don't think he would harm you, Father.
I believe you're right, Mr. Ryder.
Father, leave this room. Please, I don't want to hurt you, but nothing is going to stop me.
I'll take that risk.
Father, forgive me. I have never thought that I could lay hands on a priest, but I don't want you to be hurt.
He's got it! He's got the grenade! Lieutenant!
What do I do with this?
I'll take it, sir.
Please believe that what I did was for your sake and for your families. If you want me, I'll help you in any way I can.
You'll never learn, will you, Ryder? Hasn't he just proved to you that I was right?
He's proved one thing. The district attorney said the city couldn't spare the men and bring you to trial. I think I can show him he's using 10 times as many men, trying to clean up the mess made by hate peddlers like you. Yes, operator, I'll hold for Paris. Hello, Tim. What's the problem?
No problems, Jeff. Just been reading about you in the paper. It was kind of a crazy thing to do, fooling around with a live grenade. You think a law-type fella like you would know better?
Man's got to have his kicks. Yeah, the boy's gonna be all right, Tim. And I think the father will be, too.
How about the neighborhood?
Need some help. You know any young and dedicated journalists?
You're talking to one, you remember?
Okay, but I need one here. The Just men are gonna back a neighborhood shopping weekly. One that'll help undo some of the harm Gons has done.
You think you could use a column from Paris?
Yours? Well, send it along with the list of names I asked for. I'll see if we can squeeze it in.
Okay.